Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Ask the Expert segment. This is part two of our Ask the Expert segment, and it is brought to you by Futurpreneur. I am Dwayne Appeal, and I'm the founder of Canadian Small Business Women, and I want to tell you a little bit about Futurpreneur. They have been fueling the entrepreneurial passions of young Canadians for over 2 decades. They are the only national nonprofit organization that provides financing, mentoring, and support tools to aspiring business owners aged 18 to 39. Their internationally recognized mentoring program matches young entrepreneurs with a business expert from a network of more than 2,400 volunteer members. You can find out more about Futurpreneur at the link in the description. So today, our expert is Andrea Welling. But before we meet Andrea, remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out on more videos like these. And also, submit your questions at the link in the description. We are here to talk all things business planning. Remember, there is a part one to this video. You can watch part two and then go back and watch part one. Please make sure you watch part one because we might have touched on some things that's going to help you when it comes to the questions that we have right now. Welcome, Andrea.
Hello, Duania. It's so nice to be here. Well, it's great to join you and talk about business planning. It's so good and so important. Part two.
And it's exciting. People understand planning for your business is really exciting. It's kind of like, you know how you feel when you're planning your birthday party or planning a vacation? You should have that same feeling when you're planning your business because you're planning to have freedom in your life. Plan your business. So just like how you hire a planner, I think you need to talk to Futurpreneur and you hire a planner for your business. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's get right into it. Here's a question for you, Andrea. What are the key components of a business plan?
Yes, great question. So, key components of a business plan is always good to have a summary. So oftentimes a business plan is used so the bank can take a look at it. Us as a nonprofit, when we're helping you with financing, sometimes we want a summary. So it's good to be able to summarize all the sections in the very beginning, and we call that an executive summary. And it needs to be about a page long. It could be a bit shorter than that, but try not to go to two. Try to keep it to one page. So that's usually your first section. And then when you go into the plan, then the next section is about your product or your service. So you should really clearly outline what products you offer, what services you offer. Give us an idea of some features, some of those benefits, and have it be so that if someone was going to buy it from you online, that they get a really good grasp of exactly what you're doing. It should be descriptive, but not too long. The next section that we take a look at and we want you to work on is your market research. And so this is both primary and secondary research. So you're going to want to be talking to who's going to actually be purchasing your product or service. And you're going to want to do some research with the actual people that are going to be those consumers. And secondary research is usually something around your industry. What are the trends in your industry? Where is that going? And then after the market research section, and that usually can also within that usually you include some pricing, sometimes in the marketing section, we move to the operations section. And the operations section is basically starting from the very beginning of when your business starts, when the first thing you do, and then goes all the way through to the end part when the client is purchasing your product and service. And you want to outline all the steps in as much detail as you can. And usually in that section, you also want to include any suppliers, any ways people are going to be making payments. It's going to be very different industry to industry. And then the next really big section is our financial statement. So for Futurepreneur, we like to have a 2-year cash flow projection. And in those cash flow projections, you should have your sales and your revenue, and then your expenses. And then it should give us an idea of your profit, an idea of any loans or anything you have within those. So those are the main sections. So,
You mentioned the executive summary. I heard
mm,
someone say before, tell me how true this is, that it's always best to write your summary when you're done writing every other component part of the business plan.
yes. Yes, absolutely. Because what tends to happen is you write the plan as you begin to realize exactly what you're trying to do near the end. And sometimes in the beginning, you might be either wordier or not clear enough. And usually by the end, you'll get a stronger clarity. So you want to put that in the very beginning. And remember that most people don't may not some people may read your whole plan, but some people might only read the summary. So you want to make sure all the key pieces are there so that you're not missing something, that the key highlights jump out at the reader.
Okay. So what is the company profile?
Yeah, so a company profile is really giving the reader an idea of your background. And when you're writing a business plan, very often you'll see this when you watch TV, you watch the Shark Tank or these programs, Dragon's Den, is that we're interested to know about you because at the end of the day, it could be any industry, but who are you? What is your skills, education, background, and experience? How does this fit what you're doing now? And people are trying to, it's like a puzzle for them. They're trying to put together the puzzle that is you and your business. And they want to make sure all the pieces come together and make sense and that they can picture you in your industry and in what you're doing. And they can say, yes, hey, this person sounds like they know what they're doing. So,
Well, to sound like they know what they're doing, they need to know their value proposition. This is always something
mm.
that I feel a lot of people, really need to drive home. Like if you come to me and you say, I'm going to open a burger joint, like, great, but why am I buying your burger? There are a million other burger joints. And that's usually when the wheels start turning. So, can you explain to everyone what is a value proposition and how important it is for them to really grasp that concept?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely touched on it in terms of your example. It's why is someone willing to buy from you? And I think really trying to figure out why you're unique, and that can come from many different angles of why you're unique and why someone should buy from you or buy from you now. And obviously, with different products and services, it's going to look very different. But I can give one example that there was one of our entrepreneurs created a business with creating gummy bears that were low sugar, right? And so it's not just about the fact they're low sugar, but it's about a lifestyle where people are wanting to be healthy and basically be healthier, I would say, both sort of inside and out. And so the value proposition is really about a healthy lifestyle, even though the product is a low sugar gummy bear. And so often the value proposition is something deeper. It's something more emotionally connected to why that person would really buy your product and service, beyond simply the features of it. So what value is it giving? Or it can be a little bit like what pain is it solving? Can come at There's a few different ways you can kind of come at it. So yeah.
Okay, so identify your pain points or identify what other that other person is going to like feel or how
Yeah.
it's going to change their lives. How can a
Yeah.
burger change my life? Oh,
Yeah, exactly. Or it might, but the value proposition might be it's right around the corner from your plate. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be earth-shattering. It has to fit what your target market is looking for, or maybe it's in that case particular kind of burger, what's it in it, or how it's going to make them feel. So usually with burgers, it's about satisfaction, and feeling good, and so it's what are you there's a piece about how you're going to make other what are you going to build, what are you creating for that person to feel, is often a big piece, or bringing out the uniqueness, can be another aspect. So yeah, why buy from me? So
Well, there was a burger joint that had my heart the moment they dipped their buns in butter and then put it on a grill. I only probably ate it once a year though, but it had my heart.
Exactly, exactly. We all love something that tastes good. So if it
Yeah.
tastes good, um, that can be a great value proposition. So
Oh my
feeling good,
gosh.
tasting good, looking good.
Yeah.
People want to look good. What do people
Yes.
want?
Butter. Hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
So, what is the target market and how do you gather the information required to identify your target market?
Yeah, so this is really important. It's really important to figure out who you're trying to sell to. And a lot of people will say anybody, which of course there's some truth to that, but it's not usually the smartest strategy to go about trying to realize that customer profile. And what we suggest is that you, as you do some initial sales in your business, try to figure out who is your ideal customer, who loves your product the best, who maybe is offering. It depends on the product and service, but maybe who's got the resources for your product service, who enjoys it the most, and then see if you can actually create a persona. So if you can create an actual picture of this person, maybe their age, their ethnicity, their background, what their lifestyle might be, and you almost paint a picture of who this ideal customer would be, and then you can then use that to build some of your ways you're going to communicate to that. You know them and you know what they need and what they want, and rather than trying to speak to everyone through this giant megaphone, you're speaking more directly toward those who are interested. And I think, I mean, for example, Lululemon is great at this. They know that they're pointing toward people who are care about their health, they care about yoga, they care about looking good, and it's a very particular person. They're not trying to grab everybody. They're trying to grab someone that really cares about quality products, and uses those in a particular way. So who is that person? Yeah.
Nice. I like that you touched on the communicating to them once you find them as well, because it makes
Mhm.
no sense.
Yes.
You find your target audience and you don't know how to speak to them. It's like me going, yes, my perfect target audience is they all live in France, but I don't speak French.
Yes. Yes, yes, absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. So, like, and then where are those people? Where are those people? And what can sometimes find that can be a little bit of a disconnect is sometimes with certain entrepreneurs, they think that their target customer is someone their age, and this, so they'll think, oh, okay, well, I'll communicate them the way I like to be communicated with. But it could actually be that your ideal customer is a completely different age from you, and maybe it's a different target, and you might need to reach them differently. And so it's also getting outside yourself and trying to see who could be a customer, beyond who you might initially imagine that person to be. I think sometimes for younger people, seniors can be a great untapped market, but if you don't know how to perceive what they need and want and how they would find you, you might completely miss them. In some cases, they may
Yes.
not they may not be who you're serving, so it would be irrelevant. So it really depends on your each individual business is different. But I find when entrepreneurs take the step of seeing beyond their own vision and starting to see their vision through the eyes of a customer, they've gone to a whole other level of really understanding where they need to be, the messages they need to send, and how they need to send them.
Yes. Yes. And you talk about to just, trying to find that target customer, doing the research to find that target customer. How do you conduct market research?
Yeah, there's many ways of doing that. I think, obviously you can do different types of surveys. I think first of all, you want to be clear what you want to know, from those potential clients. So it's usually good to spend some time coming up with some key questions that really get at what you want to know. And often you want to know if they will buy your exact product. You don't want to ask anything too broad or too general. You want to get fairly specific when you're asking people. And will they pay for it? And will they pay for it in the way you want to sell it? So again, my example is if you're selling to seniors and they don't like to shop online, then that might, you're like, does that make sense? So you're trying to get feedback about how you think it's going to go, and are those assumptions making sense to that potential client? So, and so I think doing some surveys, you could do things in person, online, through social media. There's so many different ways you can find people. Um, but definitely you want to focus on that target client, and then build a test group that would test that clientele, and definitely move it beyond your friends and family. So you want to find, because friends and family might be biased toward you and might not give you an accurate picture. So yeah, I think I think people often build a collection of people that they can survey, often through social media. Um, but that might not be the case for every type of business. If you were doing, if you're doing some kind of maybe outdoor services, you might want to actually go to people directly and ask them. You might want to, like, maybe not go to their house, but maybe phone them and say, "Can I come talk to you?" Like, it really depends on your particular kind of business. In some businesses, it's usually super useful to get industry knowledge, like find out who's really knowledgeable within that industry, and they might be able to help you gather potential research clients who might be really applicable to doing research on your business. So yeah.
Oh, okay. A lot of research options there. So I
Yeah.
have two more questions for you, Andrea. They might be a
Great.
little meaty, but let's
Sure.
see.
Let's do it.
The first one is, how do you conduct sales forecasting accurately in your business plan? Because we all are going to say, I'm going to sell 1,000 units, and then we sell 10.
Yeah, exactly. So this is usually the biggest flaw is people, especially when they submit their cash flow to us, they want to look like they're going to be successful, and we get that. Um, but overambitious is a flaw, because it may be setting you up in a completely wrong direction. So watch out for that. Basically, what you want to do with each of your different products and services is look at, how much did I actually sell within a day, within a week, within a month. So look at some actual sales, look at some receipts, look at some actual sales numbers. And then you want to think about you want to build that sales. And so the other thing is, make sure that if you're doing sales and you have 6 different products, you should break down your sales into those 6 different products. Don't just blend it all together as a certain whole amount you sold on that day. You want to start to get trends of what you're selling when, so you can start to see patterns. Some businesses are very seasonal. Some business might sell, obviously, like a Starbucks sells a lot in the morning. Some restaurants sell a lot at night. So you want to make sure that part is really detailed. So you want to build in some seasonality. And then in terms of growth, again, you want to look at reasonable growth over the time, but you also want to have some growth. If you show no growth, then why are you doing the business? And you may not attract investors. So there's a point where you want to show something, and there's no real magic number per se. But if I'm looking at a business, and I want to see at least 10 to 20% growth. If I see 1,000% growth, I'm going to say they don't know their business. So you want some reasonable measures of growth. And then the other thing you want to look at is, did you hire someone? So if you hire someone, you might be able to sell like maybe twice as much or half again as much. Did you change locations? Did you add different products and services? So whenever you make any type of change, that could also indicate a place where you may have additional growth, Or if the opposite was true, you decided to let go of somebody, or we go into COVID or something external happens, then your business
Mhm.
might come down. Now, some of these things are completely unpredictable. So some things you can't know. But as much as possible, it's looking ahead. So look at a previous calendar from last year, look at maybe weather patterns, look at industry patterns, and how might those influence those sales numbers.
Wow.
Oh,
Thank you.
and the
Thank
other
you.
thing is, yeah, look in your industry. So the other thing I always like to tell someone too is, and we have this in our program, we have a mentor. So we match you with a mentor. And the reason is this mentor has probably been in your shoes in that way. And so it's also great to ask them, how did your business grow? At what pace and at what rate? And what made a difference? And when did it spike? And when did it go down? And listen to them and see, is that similar to my business? Is that different? And how could I adapt their story to make sense of what I'm doing? So I find that to be super useful as well.
Okay. Wow. Well, we have one last question
Great.
to close out this segment. How do you determine product and service pricing? And how do you determine your industry markup?
Right, right. This is something that we had an organic food business, and pricing is actually a little bit more of an art than a complete science. First of all, you need to check on your competitors, and you need to get a sense of what they're doing, and then decide where are you positioned in your market. Are you selling a product that's got more value? Are you trying to come in a more expensive, affordable version of what you're offering? Um, in addition to that, you also are going to want to look at the cost of the goods to make your product. How much is that costing you? What is the margin you want to create to give you some gross profit? And that will also help you determine the price of your product as well. And it also really helps. Industries are very different. The food industry is very different than selling jewelry. It's very different than if you're doing landscaping. So the more industry knowledge you have, the better. And entrepreneurs go one way or the other. I find new entrepreneurs, either they totally undersell themselves and they go way too low, which then makes you look like you don't have value, or they really price themselves really high. And that if you can capture a niche with a really high price, then great, that is probably going to be a lovely combination. But if you find you aren't getting the sales, you may need to reevaluate your pricing. um, and pricing generally, with some industries, you do need to advertise it. With a lot of industries, it's probably better not to, because then you can change your pricing as you need to, and then you're not setting false expectations with your clients or creating customer service issues. So this is more for service-based businesses. Um, but even you can see with retailers, they change their prices all the time. So allow yourself that ability to do that, so that if things change, the price of fuel goes up or it goes down, or your inputs go up or down, you're able to easily change your price without hopefully not frustrating your customers too much.
So pricing, everyone, I guess it is an art, not a science.
That's what I think. It's definitely, yeah. I think it's more of an art than you'd imagine. So it can take a bit of time to sort of get it accurate. So it's good to test. It's good to test the market, right? Like, and if everyone's like, "Wow, that was a really great deal," that may be a good sign. That may be a sign you haven't priced things enough. Or if you're not selling
Yeah.
anything, that might be a sign you've just priced yourself too high.
Yeah.
Um, and oftentimes people do have to look at their suppliers, their inputs. Are they can you get them maybe more inexpensively so you can offer a cheaper price? But maybe what you're offering is such a unique product and it's high quality that you don't want to compromise on that. And so then you've got to make sure you've got a high enough price that's covering your costs and is going to make you money, because at the end of the day, your business needs to be financially sustainable. Otherwise, it won't sustain you.
Otherwise, it's a hobby. Like, don't do that to yourselves. You have to make money. That's what we're in business for, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. That's that's a big lesson I learned from the business that we had.
Oh. Well, thank you, Andrea. Everyone, remember to submit your questions in the comments or in the link in the description. If you have a financial, accounting, grant related, or business planning question, you can submit them there. Remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let us know your thoughts on the segment. Special thank you to our segment sponsor, Futurpreneur. And thank you, Andrea, for giving us all this knowledge. We are so happy. And yeah, click the link in the description to learn more about Futurpreneur. And we'll see you in the next video.
Wonderful. Great to be here.